Yo, this is Ars Poetic and this is my review of Severed Steel. If you enjoy this video, please take some time to check out my channel and other video content. I do previews and reviews for tech and games, as well as upload various clips and music. Severed Steel is an awesome first-person shooter featuring high-intensity, slow-motion, bullet-dodging gameplay with parkour elements. Currently, you can play Severed Steel on PC, PS5 and 4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. It was first released under early access on Steam on April 28th of 2020, with the official PC release following on September 17th, 2021. It just recently launched on all consoles in July of 2022. Check the link in the description for all of the post-launch updates and general overview from the developer. Since the initial release, there has been a level editor update, some bug fixes, and a preview of upcoming bonus campaigns. I played this game on PC with a controller. If you're interested on the main specs of my system, here they are. They'll also be noted in the description. Severed Steel's focus is almost all on the gameplay, with the story being sprinkled in very lightly. You play as Steel, a woman who lost her arm in an accident caused by Eden Sys, a major corporation that decides to abandon her after a tragic incident. At the start of the game, Steel wakes up to this grim realization with a newfound thirst for vengeance. The story itself is told through very brief illustrated cutscenes, as well as some of the objectives you complete on your journey to bringing down Eden Sys. There is actually no dialogue in the game outside of what enemies yell while in combat. Though deliberately simple in execution, the story gets its point across while setting the stage for the addictive gameplay loop to follow. At its core, Severed Steel is a platforming wave shooter with a heavy dose of John Woo, Matrix-style action, akin to games like Max Payne, My Friend Pedro, and Trepang 2, the latter still being in development. The moment-to-moment gameplay is a beautiful mix of dodging bullets, acrobatic movements, and of course shooting down your enemies. The movement and platforming is straightforward, and similar to many action shooters these days, with the ability to run, jump, double jump, slide, and even run on walls. Here you also have a dive button, which allows you to prolong your jumps and burst through windows as you dive in any direction you like. Additionally, your melee attack can actually be used to kick yourself upwards off of walls and enemies. The important thing here is that enemy accuracy turns to shit whenever you're performing these stylish actions. Anytime you slide, dive, or run on walls, enemy bullets will nearly miss and whiz by you, really emphasizing how much of a badass you are. This was an intentional design choice by the developer to encourage players to stay in a continuous flow of movement throughout gameplay. Top all of that off with heaps of slow motion, and you'll be able to coordinate an insane amount of tricks while you dance around the bullets like a cyborg ninja. The slow motion ability does have a limit, which will automatically regen when depleted, though every enemy kill will actually refill your slow-mo meter. On top of that, your slow-mo ability will not drain while performing your parkour moves like sliding, diving, or running on walls. This pairs extremely well with the fact that you dodge bullets during these same actions. Another cool thing here is that if you manage to flip upside down, your slow motion effect is doubled, allowing you to pull off some sweet headshots as you fly above enemies. When it comes to the combat, the gunplay is the star of the show. You actually don't have a weapon inventory, nor can you actually reload any guns, which goes hand in hand, pun intended, with the developer's intent for a one-armed protagonist. This is designed to encourage you to just throw weapons at enemies when you're done with them, so you can automatically grab new guns from downed enemies, or even grab sidearms off of live enemies when you get close enough. This ensures that you dynamically cycle through all of the available weapons. If you'd like, you can manually pick up weapons if you ever want to swap what you have for something else. The variety of weapons is actually more than I initially expected, with a few for each type. There are currently 27 guns in the game, which keeps the rotation fresh. This does add more replay value to the game, especially when experimenting with firefight mode. More on that in a bit. After the first couple of levels, you will obtain a blast arm that you attach to what remains of your severed arm. This blast arm will shoot off a chargeable plasma cannon burst that allows you to actually blow a hole in any wall, ceiling, or floor that you can then dive through. This creates a shifting dynamic to the level design and enemy confrontations based on how you utilize this blast arm. Most of the enemy differences come down to weapon types and armor levels, though there are some unique enemies like those that rock shields, turn invisible, or fly around with jetpacks. The aesthetic of this game is incredibly clean. The art style evokes a futuristic sense of minimalism and sterility with undertones of your typical cyberpunk neon lights and colors. The game is rendered using voxels, which are volumetric pixels. The nature of their design allows for an incredible amount of accurate physics and destruction. This is because voxels are essentially 3D pixels with volume, as opposed to the polygons we're used to seeing in probably 90% of games out there, which create the illusion of 3D by creating 3D mesh models with tons of polygons. This is why you can clip through characters or maps in many games today and find that they are completely hollow inside behind the map textures. One reason most games today use polygons for rendering is that they offer a much higher degree of freedom when it comes to manipulating and animating them. In recent years, they've especially made significant leaps creating realistic depth in virtual space. Voxels, on the other hand, still have a lot of unexplored potential. Some examples of games that use voxels today are Minecraft, No Man's Sky, and Dreams. When launching the game on PC with an appropriate GPU, you can select the DirectX 12 version for RTX support. This adds ray-traced reflections to the game, which look great. I don't know if ray-traced reflections are present on the current gen consoles, so if you know, please leave a comment below. I assume they just default to screen space reflections, which I'm sure get the job done well enough. This game has great sound design. The guns all pack their own flavor in the way that they shoot, while killing enemies offers satisfying audible feedback, especially when you land headshots. There's not much else to sound other than the music. The OST here is excellent in my opinion. The high BPM electronic production complements the high intensity gameplay very well. It's not my go-to style of music, but I went ahead and got the soundtrack because I was digging it throughout. There are 5 difficulty levels here ranging from Cold Steel to Molten Steel. I played the game on the recommended Severed Steel difficulty, which was challenging for me, especially in certain levels, though it was not enough to get me to rage quit. If you need less or more of a challenge, you definitely should have an option that suits you here. The game offers a New Game Plus mode, which allows you to replay the game with more enemies and respawning enemies if you seek the additional challenge. My playthrough of the main campaign ran about 4 hours, with the average being closer to 3 hours based on howlongtobeat.com. Of course, if you decide to take advantage of the New Game Plus and additional firefight modes, that could easily turn into several more hours if the gameplay keeps you hooked enough. Firefight mode is similar to the level select feature, but it allows you to customize your experience with mutators and your choice of a starting weapon. All maps, weapons, and mutators have to be unlocked. You can do this by earning enough points in your gameplay in firefight mode to level up. There are 22 mutators, including things like unlimited ammo, exploding enemies, and low gravity. There are 4 additional blast arm types that you can unlock as well, including a gravity gun. All the maps from the main game seem to be here. You also have the option to download user-created levels through Steam's Workshop feature that you can launch within the game. You can play these firefight levels individually or even queue up a playlist, which is a nice touch. The levels featured here also have their own set of challenges that you can go after to help spice up the gameplay and gain you extra points when you're unlocking these weapons and maps. The level editor is currently in beta phase on PC only, but you have the ability here to customize individual levels and even string them together to form your own campaign. For a game like this is a great feature to have, as the possibilities are potentially endless, especially when you consider what the community can bring to the table. I hope to see this implemented on consoles down the road if possible. I was pleased to find that the settings menu offers a good selection of options. You can customize various elements of the UI, including the crosshair, the color and appearance of enemy highlights, and ammo indicators. You can even adjust mechanics like auto-activating slow-mo when in a stunt or automatically kicking enemies when you're close to them. The developer recently wrote a post on July 27th about the future roadmap for Severed Steel. It looks like we'll be getting some new campaigns added to the game, courtesy of some community level creators. They'll continue to work on ironing out some reported bugs as well as adding some performance improvements taken from their experience creating the console ports. Those mentioned specifically here are faster load times and smoother frame rates. Of course, with the level editor still in beta mode, there will certainly be some updates to it coming down the road before it becomes official. After that, we'll see if they have anything else in store for future content, but at the very least it looks like the community might keep the game going for a bit with custom levels. Before we wrap up here, I want to cover some brief tips for a fulfilling gameplay experience. Embrace the gameplay design and get used to flying around all over the place so you can avoid bullets and use slow motion as much as you like. Take advantage of kicking and sliding into enemies that are in your path. Make good use of wall running, double jumping, and diving, which will allow you to maneuver vertically with ease. Maybe play or practice on a lower difficulty if you're having a hard time. On the other hand, if it gets too easy, ramp up that difficulty or use mutators to make the difficulty harder. Don't sleep on firefight mode. The options you have there will certainly switch up the gameplay a bit. The more you play, the more proficient you become with the mechanics, and the more fun you'll have pulling off crazy shit. The better you get, the more it becomes about your style and what kind of combos you want to pull to take everyone down. Currently, the base price is $24.99, and I think Severed Steel is well worth the cost for the adrenaline rushes you'll get through its gameplay. The game is rather short, but pretty damn sweet. There's a load of replayability as the core gameplay loop is just super fun, engaging, and easy to get into. I was worried at first that it might be a bit too fast-paced for me, though a healthy use of slow motion serves as a great tool to perform actions with ninja precision. In my opinion, the blend of aesthetics and sounds here are awesome. The music tracks definitely gel well with the overall vibe and pacing of the game. I really appreciate the addition of a level editor as well as the customization options found in firefight mode. I'm happy that we're getting more campaigns and levels, which are the main things I'd like to see more of. One other thing I thought would be a cool addition is a sword option as a mutator for the arm cannon. Being able to slice and dice enemies with some type of sword, whether it be a regular blade or some energy sword akin to a lightsaber, would be the one thing I think a game of this caliber could use. Also, maybe another slow motion modifier that would allow you to make time slow down even more. I just can't get enough of that. Slow motion for me. If you're interested in these types of games, be sure to stay tuned. I'll be covering Trepang 2, which is set to release sometime this year. That wraps up my review for Severed Steel. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you checking out my review. This is only my second game review, though I'll definitely continue to work on more. Please let me know what you liked about this review or perhaps what I should have covered or done differently. If you enjoyed the video, check out the channel for other content if you think you'd enjoy more of what I'm doing. Be sure to subscribe if so. This is Ars Poetic, dropping the mic.